Rewiring Education, the Neurodiversity Revolution. Welcome to the BlackCEO podcast, where we dive deep into the issues that matter most to our community. Today, we're exploring a topic that's not just close to my heart, but vital for the future of our society. We're going to challenge everything you thought you knew about intelligence, education, and success. I recently had the privilege of interviewing Tai Collins, a visionary educator and advocate who's been quietly revolutionizing our understanding of neurodivergence and learning differences. With over 2 decades of experience as a special educator and school administrator, Tai isn't just changing the game. She's rewriting the rule book. Tai's work is nothing short of transformative. She's not just helping individual students. She's reshaping entire educational paradigms. Her impact extends far beyond the classroom, touching families, workplaces, and communities. She's a beacon of hope for those who felt marginalized by traditional systems, especially in BIPOC communities. Now, let me ask you a question that might make you uncomfortable. Have you ever looked at a child struggling in school and thought, what's wrong with them? If you have, don't worry, you're not alone. But what if I told you that we've been asking the wrong question all along? Tai shared an insight with me that's been rattling around in my brain ever since. If children don't learn the way we teach, then we must teach the way they learn. It sounds simple, doesn't it? But this idea, my friends, is nothing short of revolutionary. Think about it. How many of us have sat in a classroom staring at a blackboard, feeling like the words might as well be in another language? How many of us have watched our children struggle with homework, their frustration growing with every passing minute? We've been conditioned to believe that there's a right way to learn, a normal way for our brains to function. But what if that belief is not just wrong, but actively harmful? And let's talk about Marcus. Marcus was a young black boy who, according to his teachers, was the very definition of a problem child. Disruptive, unfocused, always fidgeting. His parents were on a first-name basis with the principal, not for good reasons. It seemed like Marcus was on a one-way street to becoming another statistic, another black boy failed by a system that wasn't designed for him. But Tai saw something different. She noticed that while Marcus couldn't sit still during traditional lessons, he came alive during hands-on activities. His disruptions were often attempts to engage with the material in a way that made sense to him. After a comprehensive evaluation, it turned out that Marcus was gifted with ADHD, a combination that often goes unrecognized, especially in black children. Now, I can almost hear some of you thinking, ADHD, gifted? Aren't those opposites? And therein lies the problem. We've been taught to see these differences as deficits, as problems to be fixed. But what if they're not bugs in the system, but features? With the right support and teaching methods tailored to his learning style, Marcus flourished. His disruptions turned into creative contributions. His unfocused energy became a source of innovation in class projects. Marcus went from the kid everyone had given up on to the one they couldn't stop talking about in a good way. But let's be real for a moment. Stories like Marcus's are still the exception, not the rule. And for BIPOC families, the journey to getting proper support can feel like trying to climb Mount Everest in flip-flops. Take Sofia's story. Sofia was a bright Latina girl who taught herself to read before kindergarten, but she struggled with social interactions and would become overwhelmed in noisy environments. When her mother, Maria, approached Sofia's teachers with her concerns, she was told not to worry, that Sofia would grow out of it. Maria's instincts told her otherwise. She pushed for an evaluation only to be met with resistance and cultural stereotypes. One healthcare provider even suggested that Sofia's behaviors were simply a result of her Latin temperament. It took years of advocacy, research, and eventually finding culturally competent professionals before Sofia was properly diagnosed with autism. Sofia's story isn't just about the challenges of getting a diagnosis. It's about the intersection of neurodivergence and cultural identity. It's about how our differences can be misinterpreted, misunderstood, and dismissed through the lens of cultural stereotypes. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. That's all well and good, but what about the real world? Won't these kids struggle once they leave school? I'm glad you asked, because this is where things get really exciting. Tai argues, and I wholeheartedly agree, that neurodivergent individuals often possess skills that are increasingly valuable in our rapidly changing world. Think about it. In an era of artificial intelligence and automation, what are the skills that will set humans apart? Creativity, out-of-the-box thinking, the ability to see patterns others miss. These are all traits commonly associated with neurodivergent individuals. Let me put it this way. In a world where machines can crunch numbers faster than any human, do we really need more people who can sit quietly and follow instructions? Or do we need innovators, disruptors, people who see the world in ways we've never imagined? But here's the kicker. We're not just talking about helping individuals succeed. We're talking about unleashing a wave of innovation and creativity that could reshape our entire society. Imagine a world where different thinking styles aren't just tolerated, but actively sought after. A world where our differences are seen as strengths, not weaknesses. Now, I can see some of you shifting uncomfortably in your seats. Change is hard, I get it. It's much easier to stick with what we know, to keep doing things the way we've always done them. But let me ask you this, how's that working out for us? Look around. We're facing challenges on a scale we've never seen before. Climate change, political polarization, economic inequality. These aren't problems that will be solved by doing what we've always done. We need new ideas, new perspectives, new ways of thinking, and that's exactly what neurodivergent individuals bring to the table. They see the world differently. They approach problems from angles we might never have considered. They make connections that others miss. But here's the harsh truth. We're wasting this potential. We're taking these unique, brilliant minds and trying to force them into a one-size-fits-all mold. It's like taking a Ferrari and using it to plow a field. Sure, like you might eventually get the job done, but you're missing out on what that Ferrari can really do. So what do we do about it? How do we tap into this incredible resource? It starts with a fundamental shift in how we think about intelligence, about learning, about what it means to be normal. First, we need to educate ourselves, learn about different types of neurodivergence and how they can manifest. Understanding is the first step to empathy and effective support. Second, we need to challenge our assumptions. If you see a child struggling in school or a coworker who seems to approach tasks differently, resist the urge to jump to conclusions. Instead, approach the situation with curiosity and openness. Third, we need to advocate for change, push for more diverse representation in educational and healthcare settings, support initiatives that promote culturally competent assessments and interventions. Fourth, if you're a parent or know someone who is, trust your instincts. You know your child better than anyone. If something doesn't feel right, keep pushing for answers and support. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, we need to embrace the idea that different doesn't mean deficient. Neurodivergence isn't something to be fixed. It's a natural variation of the human brain that brings with it unique strengths and perspectives. Now, I want to circle back to something Tai said that really stuck with me. She emphasized that her goal isn't just to help individuals navigate the current system, but to change the system itself. She envisions a world where neurodivergence is seen as a valuable form of diversity. Much like we've come to recognize the value of cultural and racial diversity in our societies. Imagine a classroom where different learning styles aren't just accommodated, but actively incorporated into the curriculum. Picture a workplace where neurodivergent traits are sought after for their unique problem-solving capabilities. Envision a society where the stigma around learning differences and mental health is replaced with understanding and support. This vision isn't just a pipe dream, it's a necessity if we want to create a truly equitable and innovative society. And for BIPOC communities, embracing neurodivergence can be a powerful tool for breaking cycles of educational inequality and opening up new pathways to success. But let's be clear, this change won't happen overnight. It requires a sustained effort from all of us. It means having uncomfortable conversations, challenging long-held beliefs, and sometimes being the lone voice advocating for change in your school, workplace, or community. So here's my challenge to you. Over the next week, I want you to pay attention to the diversity of thinking styles around you. Notice how different people approach problems, communicate ideas, or react to their environment. Then ask yourself, how can I create more space for these differences? How can I use my position, whatever it may be, to advocate for a more inclusive understanding of intelligence and capability? Remember, every great societal shift starts with individual actions. Your efforts, no matter how small they might seem, can create ripples of change that extend far beyond your immediate circle. But I want to go a step further. I want you to imagine a world where neurodiversity isn't just accepted but celebrated. A world where a child's unique way of thinking is seen as a gift to be nurtured, not a problem to be solved.
a world where our workplaces are alive with the energy of diverse minds, collaborating, innovating, and pushing the boundaries of what's possible. This isn't just about making life easier for neurodivergent individuals, although that's certainly important. This is about unlocking the full potential of human cognition. It's about creating a society that's more creative, more innovative, more compassionate, and more equipped to tackle the complex challenges of the 21st century. Think about the great innovators throughout history, the ones who changed the world with their ideas. How many of them thought normally? How many of them fit neatly into the boxes our society tries to put us in? The truth is, it's often the ones who think differently who end up making the biggest impact. So I'm calling on you, yes, you, to be part of this revolution. Whether you're a parent, an educator, an employer, or just someone who cares about creating a better world, you have a role to play. If you're a parent, advocate fiercely for your child's unique needs. Don't let anyone tell you that your child's different way of thinking is a deficit. It's a strength. And with the right support, it can become their superpower. If you're an educator, challenge yourself to see the potential in every student, especially the ones who don't fit the traditional mold. Be the teacher who changes a child's life by recognizing and nurturing their unique gifts. If you're an employer, actively seek out neurodivergent talent. Create workplaces that not only accommodate different thinking styles, but thrive on them. You might be surprised at the innovation and creativity that follows. And if you're someone who thinks differently, who's always felt a little out of step with the normal world, I want you to know that your perspective is valuable. Your way of thinking isn't wrong, it's just different. And different is exactly what we need right now. We stand at a crossroads. We can continue down the path we've been on, trying to force everyone into the same narrow definition of intelligence and success. Or we can embrace the beautiful diversity of human cognition. And in doing so, unlock a world of potential we've only begun to imagine. The choice is ours. And make no mistake, it is a choice. Every time we dismiss a child as difficult, instead of trying to understand their unique way of thinking, we're making a choice. Every time we overlook a job candidate because they don't fit our preconceived notions of what a good employee looks like, we're making a choice. Every time we stigmatize mental health differences instead of recognizing the strengths that often come with them, we're making a choice. It's time to make a different choice. It's time to embrace neurodiversity not as a challenge to be overcome, but as an opportunity to be seized. It's time to recognize that in the rich tapestry of human intelligence, every thread has its place and purpose. So I leave you with this. The next time you encounter someone who thinks differently, who sees the world in a way you don't quite understand, don't dismiss them. Don't try to change them. Instead, be curious, be open, be willing to see the world through their eyes. Because in that moment, you might just catch a glimpse of a better future, a future where our differences aren't just tolerated, but celebrated, a future where every mind is valued, where every perspective counts, and where our diversity of thought becomes our greatest strength. This is the future Tai Collins is fighting for. This is the future I believe in. And I hope after our conversation today, it's a future you'll join us in creating. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Until next time, keep challenging assumptions, embracing diversity, and working towards a more inclusive world for all of us. Remember, in the grand symphony of human cognition, every instrument has its place. It's time we start appreciating the beauty of the whole orchestra. Let's make this neurodiversity revolution a reality. The world is waiting for us to unleash the full power of human potential. Are you ready to answer the call?